Hi, my name is Deepak Ramola. I'm an educator and poet working at Project Fuel. I wasn't even born when the Berlin Wall fell down in 1989. However, I did get a chance to see it in 2016 on a work trip to Berlin, and it was a poignant and moving experience. Well, when I was growing up, I had only a few career options available in my small town. It was engineer, doctor, banker, or go into the armed forces. I wanted to travel the world, use language to open doors, have meaningful conversations with people, and want to be paid for it. And so my dream job actually changed every single week depending on what I discovered. I wanted to be a flight attendant, a poet, an educator, a teacher, a journalist, whatever presented those opportunities. Project Fuel eventually, I think, has combined and amalgamated all of those aspirations and given me a chance to meet people like and unlike myself, to sit down and have meaningful conversations. And in many ways, I would say yes, my wish did come true. Or rather, it proved that all dreams are valid. The current education system relies heavily on conventional methods of teaching, whereas the contemporary life and its challenges require education that is both participative and informative in its learning style. The current education system is not equipped to handle or facilitate sociological imagination and development of young adults. How do you teach someone to handle grief or loss or failure or heartbreak, or simply not feel guilty about the privilege that they are born with? I think questions like these could be addressed with providing growth and assistance in a safe environment through education system. And we deeply believe that experiential learning can truly facilitate an environment which can cultivate positive and adaptive behavior and bridge the gap with human wisdom. The concept behind Project Fuel is fairly simple. There are 7 billion people up, alive and breathing in this world right now. That means there are 7 billion mistakes to learn from, 7 billion perspectives to absorb and understand, 7 billion solutions in this world that are not fictional, have not been thought, but rather credibly lived. The innovation on Project Fuel rests on the methodology of life lessons itself. We document, design, and pass on human wisdom through our educational methodology, which has been recognized as one of world's top 100 innovations in education, through art-based community initiatives, through digital films with a strong social message. Somewhere, all of this combined allows us to look at it with more creative solutions. Understanding the world through the lens of wisdom allows you to eliminate creation of newer stereotypes and transcend cultural context. That's the best part. What excites me the most about Fuel is that no person in the world has to feel this unspoken pressure to invent an app, be a celebrity, have a million followers on social media, or appear in the news to be remembered or to craft a legacy. The simple act of living your life can be advantageous enough to inform, educate, entertain people in a way that will allow for people to change their perceptions, break stereotypes, be more empathetic, innovate more, and facilitate multi-dimensional lifelong learning. A grandmother in Nepal can influence a data scientist in New York to think in a more inclusive manner. A sex worker in Kamatipura can teach principles and skills of branding and customer negotiation to MBA graduates in France. I think that bridging of the gap is what is most interesting. The potential of human wisdom is so underexplored that I wonder, can these life lessons come to assist data and cognitive brain scientists in mapping out patterns, in drawing connects that can be leveraged to understand and develop further tools and resources for our holistic well-being, our social emotional learning, and our mental health. The other questions that I'm excited to explore is, does democratizing wisdom from a handful people to a global mass audience change the way we associate value and relationships in the world in context to gender, geography, and age? The other questions that excite me are, can we actually collect all 7 billion life lessons in a single lifetime for the next 7 billion generation to use? And if we are able to discover all of this, will my relatives actually believe that I have a real job? The questions or aspects that keep me awake at night other than that is the magnanimity of the ask of documenting human wisdom, the ambitiousness of its potential, the humongous scope of its execution, and the simple and long-term joy of its eventual impact. The next question in this is, what does my mother think of my work? Well, my mother actually is the one who inspired this entire movement of Project Fuel. She was pulled out of school by her grandmother in grade 5. And I never believed that story, but my mother said repeatedly that that story was true. And the simple fact that she did not have the opportunity and the resources did not stop her from learning from the biggest classroom one could get, which is life. To me, that meant if she was learning simply by living, that means everyone who was living is learning something.